It's a common belief by many that all of our fates are intertwined in the web of life. Today's story is a testament to that. Today we're going to take a look at a loving family that saved the life of an injured animal from the wilderness, and how said animal paid the family back for their kindness years later. Greetings, salutations, and welcome to our channel. Today we're going to talk about a family of 3 that found themselves at a crossroads with an injured fox in the wilderness. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to be rich and more amazing stories like this, as you will be notified when we upload new videos into our channel. You can ensure that you will not be missing any of our uploads by clicking on the bell icon. Make sure you do not miss out. The husband and wife of the family adored nature and spending time in it. Their entire family usually spends every single opportunity they get in the countryside. It was an instance just like any other, when the husband, wife and daughter found time to visit the village. They wanted to de-stress, be one with nature and go fishing. This particular village that they were visiting that time happened to be a place that the wife was particularly familiar with, as her parents used to have a house there. That house was inherited to them through their grandparents, so they have a lot of history there. However, as time passed, almost every single person living in the village decided to move away to cities, and the village kept getting desolate by the day. This caused the wife's parents to sell the house. However, the old people remained in the village, and whenever you decide to visit, they always provide you with one of their houses to stay in. Their warm hospitality was something to marvel. The family agreed earlier on the house that they were going to stay in, as they packed up everything they needed and left for the village. The journey was a long and strenuous one, with at least 2 hours of driving on a good day. However, nature makes up for it with great weather and beautiful surroundings. The husband was driving the car as both him and the wife were admiring the landscape. They drove slowly as they were driving on a country road. The road had been washed out due to the rain. The daughter had fallen asleep by this time, and the wife was almost about to doze off as the husband abruptly stopped the car. The wife opened her eyes and was about to ask the husband what had happened, when she noticed that the husband unfastened his seatbelt and got out of the car. When the wife looked at the road, she noticed that an injured animal was lying on the side of the road, covered in mud. He was so mud-caked that it wasn't even clear what animal it was. The wife also got out of the car to take a closer look at the animal. As the wife stepped closer, she realized that it was a fox. The country road was wet, so the husband could have driven by it in order to make it to the destination as soon as possible. But who could have the heart to leave a dying animal behind? People can be pretty unbelievable. The poor animal was still fighting for his life, his eyes constantly opening and closing slowly. He was breathing steadily, but his chest was moving so little. However, the animal was definitely in bad shape. The husband and wife were indecisive as to what they should do, as they stood by the injured fox, helplessly. Not a moment flew by as the car door suddenly opened again, and their daughter jumped out of the car. She immediately ran past the parents and sat next to the fox, as she started patting the fox's head. "Honey, we can hardly do anything for him here," her father told her in a sad tone. However, both the parents were taken aback when the daughter looked back at the parents. It was the first time that they've seen their daughter with such a determined face. She claimed that she could never leave the fox to die by the road like this, and she was definitely not going to get back in the car without it. The parents agreed as they started weighing in their options. Because the nearest town was far away, they decided to take the fox to the village, hoping that they'll be able to find help for the fox in any shape or form. The wife grabbed a blanket from the car, and the husband carefully picked up the fox and laid the fox on it. They brought it to the car and carefully laid it on the back seat. Their daughter climbed on the back seat as well, as she laid the fox's head on her lap. The wife and husband knew that if they wanted to help the fox, they couldn't waste any time. They drove as fast as the road allowed them to. The wife could hear the daughter talking to the fox, as if to persuade it to wait for a bit, and that good people would help it soon. However, the fox was just there, staring upwards into nothingness. The animal was very sick, that it once even vomited on the floor of the car. The moment they reached the village, the first thing they did was stop at the house which had people in it. The husband stopped the car and ran towards the house, knocking at the gate. Not long after, an old man came out of the house and welcomed him to the neighborhood. It didn't take the old man long to understand what was going on. However, as he immediately advised the family to go see the herbalist, old woman, that lived in the outskirts of the village. She was the only one that could help in this situation. When the family arrived there with the injured fox, the old lady was simply sitting at a bench, sorting out some herbs. The wife went to the old lady and enlightened her on the whole situation, as she showed the old lady the state of the poor animal that was in her arms. The woman took one good look at it before saying, "Bring it to me." She collected her bundle of herbs as she invited the entire family into her house. The entire hallway smelled of medicinal herbs, as they were hanging everywhere. She cleaned a small table by an open window as she motioned the family to lay the fox there. As the fox was lying on the table, the old lady began to examine the injured animal. The fox seemed to be suffering from a broken paw and lung problems. She also said that the fox was probably suffering from a concussion due to how sick it was. The old lady smiled and assured the family that they did good, and they brought the fox just in time. "Now go away and bring me some cold water from a spring nearby and leave it by the doorway. Come to me in a couple of days," the old woman said confidently. While the old lady's confidence took the family by surprise, they decided to listen to her. The family found some water containers by her house entrance as they went out to find a spring to collect water from. They left the water containers by the doorway and returned back to the village in order to settle in their home. The whole night the family was restless. They spent the whole night wondering if the fox is okay and if everything is alright with it. 2 days passed as they decided to go to visit the herbalist old lady to see how the fox has been doing. As they arrived at the house, they decided to knock and see if the old woman would come out, but they would hear no response. They would knock again, but no response came again. The family decided to walk in on their own as they noticed the old woman sitting down and sipping tea. The fox was laying on a wooden box by the stove. The woman smiled at the family and proclaimed that they came just in time and that she had something to say to the family. They agreed and sat at the table as the daughter went to the box by the stove to meet the fox. The clean fox was resting inside the box as its paw and stomach was bandaged. It was definitely looking much better than how he looked by the side of the road. However, it was clear to everyone that the fox was still very weak. The fox looked up as it saw the little girl as it started to wave its tail, almost as if it recognized her. The old woman notified the family that the fox will be okay, but it will not be able to live in the wilderness, as it will not have the strength to hunt for her own food. The old woman also mysteriously added that it was not a coincidence that the fox was found by this particular family. She claimed that the fox and their daughter had their fates intertwined in some way or another. While the husband was skeptical and confused, the wife understood, as she was brought up by those who lived in the village and understood its beliefs. After conversing with the old lady, the family left the house with the fox. The old lady also provided the family with a package of herbs to administer to the fox in order to help it get better. When the family tried to pay the old lady in return, she refused to accept money. The woman simply said that the only thing she needs is water from a spring, just like before. She also requested the family to come visit her whenever they returned to the countryside to let her know how the fox is doing. The family finally returned home, and it was unveiled that the fox was an old male. He enjoyed the ride back to the city well, as the family began to take care of him. The daughter always comes home from kindergarten to play with the fox. She started calling the fox Ray. While the fox tended to be aggressive at times, the daughter still played with him, under her parents' supervision of course. Some time passed as the family decided to take another trip to the village, this time with Ray coming along as well. The first thing they did after they arrived at the village is take Ray to see the old woman. Ray immediately recognized his savior as he went to her cheerfully. Then the family returned back to the village home they were staying in, as the parents started unpacking. The wife noticed in the corner of her eyes how the daughter and the fox were playing on the grass. Things took a turn when the fox suddenly jumped on the daughter and knocked her to the ground. The wife ran outside, shouting at Ray to let go of their daughter. However, when the wife got closer to the daughter, she noticed that the daughter was doing absolutely fine, even though she was a bit surprised at the fox's sudden actions. When the mother took a closer look, she noticed how Ray was holding a snake with his paw, and sudden realization hit her. The fox had just saved the life of her daughter, as he suddenly recalled the words of the herbalist old woman on how the fates of the fox and the girl were connected. The family saved Ray, and Ray saved their only daughter. The fox happily lived with the family for several more years before he died of old age. We finally reached the conclusion of this intriguing story. For more heartwarming stories like this, subscribe to our channel and press that bell button to get an update every single time we upload a new video. Make sure to like this video and share it with somebody. Thanks for watching, and see you all next time.